Hi, Redeemer. Welcome to this week's 3-minute FAQ. This week I'm going to tackle the question, why don't we sing more hymns at church? So kind of related to last week, we talked about choice of musical style. But this is related, but really more about the types of songs, not in terms of musical style, but content. So hymns versus, I don't know what you would call more modern songs. And for those of you that aren't, clear on the distinction, generally hymns are, you can write modern hymns, but older songs that were written and have stood the test of time and generally, are more theologically rich. There's a little more content driven than, say, a lot of contemporary worship. So think of things like Be Thou My Vision or, How Deep the Father's Love for Us. And, more contemporary songs like, Set a Fire Down in My Soul. You can see a clear difference in terms of, the simplicity of the lyrics in more modern songs versus the complexity and richness of teaching in the older hymns. Now there's a spectrum there, and you can have people write modern hymns, and then there's even songs that are more modern, like put out by like Dustin Kensrue, the last several years, that are, I would say, theologically rich. Songs like Grace Alone or Rejoice, that are somewhere in the middle, right? I think they do a great job of teaching theologically, but they're modern renditions. So there's a spectrum there. So why don't we sing more hymns? Well, number one, how many hymns do we sing? I've recently talked to both of our key worship leaders in Cedar Falls and Cedar Rapids. That's Joe Brinkman and Dirk Weiss. They lead the teams, and I asked them, what's your ideal for how many hymns per service? Say we have 6 songs. And they said 2. And we talked about why. And, I could probably go for 1 more. Let's split it half and half. And I don't know if we took a survey, some people might want less, some people might want more. It's one of those things that's really hard to nail down what's ideal. I certainly see the advantage of, I love hymns. I love the theological richness. I think there's a challenge there sometimes, when you're saying things like, not be all else to me. I think when we're in the church for a long time, we're familiar with that. We kind of forget how strange that can sound to people. So I think the disadvantage to some of that stuff is, how accessible is that to people who haven't been around the church. So all I'd say, I think there's pros and cons. How do we determine it? Again, there's a lot of liberty given to the worship leaders. We recruit them, we release and empower them based mostly on their character and their synergy and their walk with Jesus. And then we say, okay, lead. And we don't take a strong approach to, play things this way, play this amount of songs. And I think there's a great amount of fruitfulness, joy, and freedom in that. So there's that. I'm over. You want to talk more about this? Hit me up. See ya.